Welcome back to another episode of the Consistency Engine podcast. Like always, I'm your host, Dane Patton. With me, Chase Collier. Chase, how are you doing on this fine, beautiful day here in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Doing good. Enjoying the weather, all the rain we're getting, and just making progress.
Got my pool opened up on Monday.
Yeah.
Pretty excited about that. It was not under construction, but there was a problem with the cover. So normally I have it open earlier than this, but we got it open. The kids did their first jump today.
Is that something for photo or video that you get?
Yep. Normally I'm at home for that, but I wasn't there today. But Lena was able to record their first jump in the pool, so it's always a fun thing.
That's a good memory to have. Cool to see it through all the years.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about Facebook Memories is just kind of watching my kids grow up and the experiences and stuff like that. That's on there. So, and I was wondering, like, when the last time I opened up the pool this late, and it was last year. It was June 1st was they jumped in. So I was like, well, I'm not that far off. But
just a couple days.
Yeah. So the episode today, I'm probably going to title it "Your Life is a Reflection of Your Habits," and going to talk about that. And the reason that I wanted to bring it up is because the last week or so I've posted some pretty cool things that have been happening in my life. The last episode we talked about the Spark Award that I received. Today I just announced that the second my second book has just come out. The co-author Stand on the Shoulders of Giants book just came out, and those are like pretty cool things to achieve, to have the recognition, to have done. But I kind of was thinking about, like, okay, so though I wouldn't say they're life-changing moments, but they're like big moments in life, but they don't happen overnight. And it kind of seems like sometimes when like you're saying, oh, this happened and this happened, like it seems like it's over happened, but what I know is that it's been a bunch of little habits every single day have got me to the point that I can announce these things, and these things kind of show up.
Yeah.
And so the question, that I have is, if somebody followed you around for the next 30 days, would they predict what your future looks like?
It's a very good question to ask, and it's something that we talk about a lot in our small local group. Is we can probably predict your revenue, your outcome, your situation in the next 30 days by basing it off of what your habits and your consistency look like. And for you, yes, you're doing awesome things. You're getting trophies and awards for the things that you've been doing. But if you didn't have any of those habits in place for the last 5+ years, you wouldn't have gotten those. So there's so much that speaks back to what you do every day matters. And it kind of goes back to that 1% better every day rule. Some people look at things like that and habits and the consistency as being boring. It's monotonous. Why am I doing this? But if you're truly doing stuff to better you and learn and grow, stuff like this happens. It's very cool that you get the opportunity to celebrate on stuff like that, but it's not, none of us are overnight successes, period. Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, just like our conversation before we started this, and we were talking about the business and that, and it's like, well, how did we get to this point? Well, it started a few years ago, and it started by being aware of how we track things, and the level of service that we provide, and the vendors that we use, and all of that kind of stuff goes into it, so we can get to the point where we are now, and how we're going to open up our second location, and all that kind of stuff. It's not something I clicked my fingers and snapped my fingers and it happened.
Yeah.
It was every day. There's these things that we work on. We talk about the non-negotiables that we do every single day, and they might seem like minuscule tasks, but when you do them thousands of times in a row, over and over again, it builds to something that's pretty incredible, and results don't lie. whether it's, you're looking at your finances, all right? If that bank account isn't where you want it to be, it's probably because you haven't consistently made the right choices, or you love to talk about compound interest.
Yep.
And that's great in finance, but it also works in every aspect of your life. And that's why I talk about we can predict what your future is. Is your future going to be growth, or is it going to be stagnation, or is it going to be a decline? And that all comes back to compounding over time.
Yeah, and all three of those options, growth, stagnation, declining, those are the only three options. When I talk to a lot of people, it comes down to, are you moving forward or backwards? Yes, there's the chance that you walk this very fine line that nothing changes. But the majority of the time, you're either improving or you're declining. It could be health, fitness, finance, relationships, business, but all of those different aspects still have the same thing. And going back to compound effect, because I love that, it is an exponential curve. It's not a linear thing. And that is why so many entrepreneurs struggle in the beginning, is they want the 5-year result in the first 3 to 6 months. And that's just not how it works. It doesn't work that way. Finances, business, fitness, you don't, in most cases, you don't marry your partner in the first week of getting to know them. There's this incline of exponential ramp up that you have to put in the time, you have to build the consistency, learn the knowledge. And when I started in entrepreneurship, I told myself, if I am not learning or saving money, I am spending money on something. And yes, there's investing in yourself. That's kind of a caveat. But if you think about the world that we live in, you have two options. It's either learn, grow, and save money, or you're doing something that costs money. And depending on what your goals look like, if you have the financial security, go enjoy things, go spend some money. But if you're trying to start out, why aren't you trying to be 1% more wealth every day, 1% more knowledge, 1% better in fitness? There's so many different avenues that it all goes towards.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of the James Clear Atomic Habits book. Is that your habits are like a vote, and you get a vote for what your outcome of your life is every single day. So if you say that you want to be a learner, well, you probably should be reading every day. If you say that you want a strong marriage, you should probably be taking your wife out on dates, or remembering special moments and stuff like that. Like if you say that you want to have a healthy physical body, well, are you showing up at the gym? Are you watching what you're eating? Are you staying hydrated? Are you getting your sleep? Like,
yeah,
all of that stuff is a little vote to where you get to go.
Some of the different aspects you can look at as well is talking about if we followed you around, what do your habits look like? I almost challenge people listening, if I looked at your calendar, what would I see? Is there stuff scheduled on there? Are you planned out? Do you press your snooze button every day? Are you being intentional with your time? But that also goes towards, if I open your pantry or your fridge or your cabinets at home and you're trying to be healthy, that tells me a lot about what the next 30 days are going to look like. If I look at your last month's bank statement, can probably get a good idea of what the next month is going to look like. So it's not just like the statement of what your habits are. There's visual things that we can look at throughout your life that help give indications on what direction you're moving towards.
Yeah, I love that thought of about your environment and how I've been able to create an environment where these wins can stack on top of each other. I think when I was in my weight loss phase, it was like, well, if I have ice cream in my freezer all the time, am I disciplined enough at the beginning to not want to eat it? And I was like, at the beginning I hadn't built that discipline. So I removed it from my environment. And if I was going to have it, well, what did I have to do? I had to leave my house and drive somewhere and go get it and spend the money and do all these things to get to it. Now, was there times that maybe I thought about doing that? Yeah. But I knew that if it was at home, it was going to be too easy for me to cave into that. So a lot of that has to do with how do you create this environment to win? How do you create this environment for growth? I had stacks of books right next to my on my nightstand next to my bed. They were always sitting there so I could see them when I'm going to lay down or I'm going to wake up. And it's like, well, why don't I just pick up one of these and start reading it if it's sitting right next to me? You know, things like that, little things, or my water jug.
Yep.
You know, grabbing my water jug and having it with me all the time makes me accountable to drink it every single day. And how can we change our environment to allow us to win and stack those wins?
To take something you talked about earlier this week is the concept of just chaos in general. And it's very hard to grow within chaos. And when you're talking about our environments, my office is probably the dirtiest room in the house, to be honest. Not dirty, but just papers around. But I have organized what each thing is for. And when you think about chaos, it's disorganized. You don't know what is where. But when you create clarity and you create organization, the thing Dane just talked about books on the nightstand, if your environment at home has those little cues that just let you think more and more about, hey, I should open this book. Hey, I should eat this healthy food. Hey, my gym outfit's already set up for the next morning. And the more you can just get those visual cues, the easier it is to make that decision to help you progress.
Yeah, that's one thing I've done in my life. Like, how to have a good morning, I have a good nightly routine. So I get things set up. When I was going to the gym at 4:30 in the morning, yeah, my gym bag was already packed, my clothes, my shoes, all of that stuff was already set up. So I could wake up, I could brush my teeth, put on some deodorant, grab that stuff, and I was out the door. And it wasn't like, well, I got to get up and I got to pack and this and that, and like making sure that was prepped, and my amino acids, my creatine, water was already made, my tea was already brewed, like all of that stuff was just waiting for me, and I just had to get up and take the action and do it. And then same thing. So I started a great morning by a good nightly routine, and then once I started a good morning routine, it's like, well, then the rest of the day was so much easier.
Yeah, when you create that clarity first thing in the morning and the ease, it makes the rest of the day easier. And just a little bit more on that, if you know that you have meetings stacked up after the gym or whatever your morning routine looks like, get some of that organized the night before. It makes it so much easier and less stressful, less chaotic to have some of that stuff put together. If you know your goal is to continue to read this book, make sure that it is out wherever you're going to read that book. Don't put it away. I think some of the stuff that does need put away is the chaos. It's the stuff that pulls us away from the stuff that we're trying to intentionally better ourselves with.
Yeah, and I think sometimes those habits fail for people is because they think they have to go 0 to 100. Got to completely change their life and be this whole new person. It's not like, okay, I have a vision of this person I want to be, but we have to start slow, and that's how it's sustainable. And we talk about the new year, new me all the time, and then people stop working towards those goals because they're focused on this huge thing, and they're not seeing the tangible results that they think that they should get because they're going to be this whole new person. But they're blind to the small things, the little things that matter the most to get there.
Depending on what you are trying to grow at, let's just say you're in business as business owner and your goal is to get more leads. That is what you're trying to achieve. You're probably not going to sit down on day one and make 500 phone calls, just straight cold call to new people you've never talked to. Set a goal of 5 or 10 people the first day or the first week. Just make those goals easy and obtainable, because once you find that rhythm, whatever this may be for, it's so much easier to just put a little bit more on it. If you're going from never working out to, hey, I want to run a half marathon in 3 to 6 months, you're not going to go out and run 13 miles on day one. If you can start with half mile or a mile or even just walking for 20 minutes, those little things are going to make it so much more digestible. And a lot of people, I think, fall off just due to it's a big, scary goal, but they want it right now. And going back to the compounding interest piece is, if you just do that itty bitty thing for the first day, the first week, it grows just a little bit more throughout the first month. And then by month 6, you're like, holy cow, I made a huge change in the last 6 months.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with, having expectations that aren't realistic. But what I love is, like, when we're talking to, we talk to business owners, and especially when it comes to marketing, it seems like lead generation is always something that gets brought up at some of our meetings, and it's how do we get all these leads and stuff like that, and well, instead of being so focused on this whole thing, like, what did you share today that was of value for somebody that would be looking for your service? Let's start there. And then they're like, well, I don't know. It's like, exactly. Like, you have to start at the very beginning. And it's not like, whoa, this is what I do, everybody wants to buy from me. No, it's like, start bringing value to people, educating them, getting that know, like, and trust factor built up. If you do that on a small scale every single day, big things are going to happen. We get ahead of ourselves too much.
With lead generations, and I'll state organic lead generations, like not paid for, it takes time. And it could be cold calling, it could be networking. And in most people's experience, like, you're not going to get leads in the first month. You may not get them in the first 6 to 12 months from your sphere of influence, because they want to see that you know what you're talking about. You're doing it with integrity. There's value in it. But people also just want to get to know you and see that you are who you say you are. But once you kind of just breach that threshold of, hey, I've been in it long enough, I'm doing the right work, the organic leads just start coming your way. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that I would get this many leads. But again, that first 6 to 12 months is not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. But people are going to know you for being a genuine, authentic person instead of just trying to chase the sales.
Yeah, that's getting people to realize that is so fun, because you can see it, like, in their eyes once they get it to click. And it's like, dude, it's just a decision. It's just a decision to show up and be who you are, and not be worried about the sales part of it. Sales comes when you're a real person. So I love that, and I love habits, because I've lived both sides. I've had bad habits in my life, and I could see, I can go back and reflect on where I was. I can look at pictures of who I used to be, and then I can think about, whoa, now look at who I am, and it's completely a correlation because of the habit change that I've had.
One thing to probably hit on that, just relating to habits, is that some people listening to this may go, well, I really don't have habits set in place. And I almost challenge you to think about everything you do throughout the day. If it's not on your calendar, that does not mean that you don't have habits in place. They just might not be good habits. They might not be pushing you the direction that you're wanting to go, but we're trying to get you to implement good habits. But most time, if you're not thinking about it, it is still a habit, because most habits are so subconsciously ingrained in us that throughout our day, we do a lot of the same things every single day. And if it's not in your calendar, you're not thinking about it, it's still a habit and it's still present in your life. So it's kind of observing and accepting that you do have habits in place, whether they are good or bad, and then just start making small changes to them.
Yeah. And like I said, for me, buying my water jug, wearing my Fitbit, wearing these 2 bracelets on here reminds me to practice gratitude and the people that I'm thankful for. Like stuff like that was little tangible things that I could take and add to just my daily visual, things I see every single day, and it reminds me, hey, did I practice gratitude today? Oh no, let me write that down. Did I drink a gallon of water today? No, let me do that. Did I get my steps in? No, it's right here. Like constant reminders, and try to tie them to things, like what do you do every single day? If you do something every single day, try to tie that healthy habit or to that. Whether if you're standing in front of a mirror brushing your teeth, maybe put some affirmations on your mirror or something like that. Just easy little things and time to your daily. Like the nightly routine that started because I start the dishwasher every single night. Right? We got to have clean dishes for the next day.
Yep.
So while I'm starting the dishwasher, I decided maybe I'll brew my tea. I'll brew my tea at the same time, and then I'll have my nightly vitamins at that time. Like just stacking little things, packing my lunch, doing all that stuff at the same time while I was also doing that.
Figuring out ways to reward yourself along the way as well, I think is a good thing. People are incentivized just like animals. You can train them to do stuff with treats. Well, we're the same way, and when we do change our habits, we still want to get rewarded in some way. And like for me, if we sit down and watch TV at night, that means that work is complete. That means that we did our nightly routine of stuff. We've talked, my wife and I, business is done, stuff is shut off, stuff is prepped for tomorrow. Hey, let's watch 30 to 45 minutes of TV. Or, hey, you have a sweet tooth, you're trying to lose weight. You don't need to eat an entire chocolate bar. Eat your chicken and rice or whatever protein and vegetables that you want to eat, and then maybe have a piece of chocolate or a very small thing of a semi-healthy dessert. You don't need to go from 100% to 0. And I've started, like, one of my favorite things is having my protein shake. Well, I have to have a good workout. I have to wake up early and do the work before I have my protein shake. So if you can figure out ways to reward yourself on completion of good habits, then it's harder to break them.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with that, and I used to do the same thing too. Man, I haven't made it in a long time, but that like protein ice cream
Ice
thing
cream, yeah.
that I used to make all the time, that stuff was so good. And I always looked forward to it. It was like 50 grams of protein, and it was so delicious. So, I love that. Sweet treats and high protein, sign me up.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, the one thing, kind of we always try to close with some sort of a challenge or something like that. And I was thinking, for the next 7 days, I would say, let's not focus on changing our entire life, but let's focus on one habit, one that we can improve, and make, other areas of our life easier. And then just commit to showing up and doing it every single day. It takes a while for a habit to get set in place. That's why I think it's so important that we connect it to something that we're already doing.
The other piece of that is go in your calendar and make a daily reminder for whatever it is. If you're trying to go to the gym, figure out what time you can go, put a reminder in your calendar. If you're trying to read part of a book before bed, put a reminder at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, hey, it's reading time. Because having that just little hit of, hey, I committed to this, it's in my calendar, we're doing it, is much more likely for it to get retained until it is second nature to you.
Yeah, I think the saying is it's an apple a day, right? Not 7 on Sunday. So remember that. They say an apple a day keeps a doctor away, and it's not 7 on Sunday. So if you don't do something and then you try to do a huge amount of intensity all at once, that's not what we're looking to get to. It's break it down to little things you can do consistently every single day, and over time, you have to realize this isn't going to be overnight. This is going to be the long haul, but it's so worth it, because when you do commit to being that best version of yourself, you'll see it show up over and over and over again. Once you can, like I said, the things that I'm doing now, I started 5 years ago. And things that keep happening to me in my life and my business and all that is because 5 years ago I made a decision. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the work every single day, no matter what happens. There's plenty of days where there's not amazing things happening in my life. Well, I look at it a little bit differently. Like, I just know that amazing things are going to happen because I'm going to do this stuff.
Yep. One last thing I kind of want to leave with. Nobody is perfect. We are not perfect. There are days, I know me specific, don't know on Dane. He's probably stay consistent every day, does his habits, but life happens, family happens, vacation happens. There are going to be days that you might miss your daily habit thing that you're doing, and it's okay. Just like Dane said, just because you missed a day doesn't mean you need to go 2 or 3 times the intensity the next day. Just get back to it, because life constantly changes, and the more structure you can put in place, the better. But again, it's not perfect. Stuff changes, adapt, overcome. And if you need any help on implementing any habits or want to talk through any of it, reach out to Dane or I, and we'd love to talk with you on them.
Yeah. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. And that's how you change your life, folks. Just keep showing up. I love it. And love you guys for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share this with other people so it can, my whole goal is how can I help one person every single day? So if you share this with somebody, maybe it's something that they need to hear at that point. And I have no idea how that the ripple effect happens, but if we can help one person out there, and you can too by sharing this, or send us a message and let us know if there's a certain topic that you'd like us to talk about and share our experiences on. We'd love to hear that. And have a good rest of the day. This is it's not the Steak and it's the Consistency Engine podcast.